In the top left corner of Triton, it's the golden Protoss Exostriker. And in the bottom right, as the blue Terran, it's June. Exostriker, sitting at the top of Group B. Here in the AlphaX Apprentice week number 5. June sitting in third place, fourth-ish, kind of tied with another player trying to get into second if he takes this match. Every AlphaX Apprentice match is a best of 5. These two players going to be going head-to-head. What I expect to be a brutal matchup. I'm your caster this evening, Renegade. Thank you, as always, to the AlphaX community and Sushi, as well as the admins, Donatari and Contestes for letting me cast these games for you guys. Exostriker going for a probe scout. June has his barracks about halfway finished here. And set to go into a pretty normal Protoss versus Terran. Now, of course, this did take place over the last week or so, not going to be seeing any influence from IEM Katowice in this tournament just yet. I wouldn't expect to see that till around the week 7 casts. Both players grabbing their second town hall buildings, and we're off to the races here. Exostriker has Reaper jump totally blocked off. Now it's going to be a Marine opener here from June behind the Reaper factory as well. Exostriker getting out in the depth to intercept the Reaper, but don't know if we're going to see it be aggressive across the map or not. Go one shot off on the Reaper. This is a good start for Protoss. June threatening to jump up to the high ground if that shade completed, but of course it did not, so he's going to escape down through the low grounds, and that Reaper will live to scout another day. He shouldn't get the probe kill here. Yeah, it's just bait. So Exostriker with 2 adepts out on the map, gonna feel confident maybe to move forward, maybe not, maybe not. Okay, it's gonna be a Stargate play here from our Protoss. Oracle going out to burn down some SCVs. Maybe an unlucky Marine. Here comes the Oracle. It's going to shift-click around the map toward the Terran. June going into Phoenix play. This is something... Or, Exostriker going into Phoenix play. This is something we've seen him do previously in the tournament. It's had mixed degrees of success. We'll see how it does against June. But with a Cyclone and a Viking out, I don't know that it's going to do that much. He's going to need at least 4 or 5 on the map before he can even think about poking in. Like a 3 Phoenix aggression isn't going to work. Oh, and June's going to bring the fight to Exostriker with this Marine push. And I think he has a window to get some damage done here. I mean, what is Exostriker's answer to this, right? He has 3 Phoenix and an Oracle. Now he doesn't have the Oracle. And there's barely a ground army back at home. Shield battery's just getting thrown down now, but they won't be operational in time to hold June's assault. June getting production up behind this engineering phase as well, so going to be totally fine if he needs to back out. Cyclone does take some pretty heavy damage, but is going to be pretty safe. A mule could always be dropped for repair at the front as well, so that June can sustain his attack. We'll see if that occurs, but in the meantime, Robotics Bay going down for Exostriker. Going to start getting into that Colossus tech to counter the bioplay of his opponent. For disruptors, we've been seeing disruptors used to great effect at Katowice. They are also pretty viable right now against the style that June's going for, but Stim, combat shield, and +1 on the way. June ultimately deciding just to pick off a couple units, get some damage done, and back out the remains of his army. 3 Phoenix I don't think are going to do very much at all. They will shut down the Zelnaga, but back at home, plenty of Marines here to counter the Phoenix play, with 2 Vikings in the air now and 2 Cyclones on the ground. More than capable of handling the small Protoss strike craft. Phoenix enter the main, gonna pick off some SCVs here. Exostriker is indeed going into that Colossus tech as +1 hits the field, going into extended thermal lance. But June's not going to give it time to get out here. Of course, Exostriker does see this push with the Zelnaga, with that Adept going down, but only 1 Colossus on the field. A second one will be out during this engagement if June forces the issue. However, there's not like a charge lot line of defense. There's no meat shields here for these squishy stalkers and for the Colossi. So the Colossi is going to have to start running backwards very quickly. You can see just how fast the stalker line melted, and the Widow Mines haven't even fired their shots yet. GG is going to be called, and June takes game number 1. In the top left, as the yellow Protoss, it's Exostriker, and in the bottom right of Nightshade, it's the blue Terran, June. If I had to guess, I'd say Exostriker picked this map. Protoss have been digging the Nightshade lately. Exo with defensive building positioning around the Nexus. Gonna send out a scouting probe. Yeah, I mean, in the previous game, June, just kind of steamrolling in, taking it easy almost against Exo. Exo favoring his Stargate play, but I mean, against Cyclones and Vikings and stimmed Marines, 3 Phoenix, not very much of a help. He had a large stalker count, but no blink on the field to help micro, in no charge lot meat shield, no adept meat shield, no sentries for support there. So the stalkers and the Colossi got picked off pretty easy by June. What up, Opera Cakes, Manor Cat? Manor Cat, you can root for whoever you want. These guys they're from AlphaX. They're dragons, not phoenixes, so... Exclamation bracket in the chat if you want to see what the current standings are before the games that we cast. They're up to date, up to, you know, what we're seeing here tonight. They are not Dragon Phoenixes. That would be horrifying. Reaper's going to be able to get a couple probe kills here, but the Adept will certainly, most certainly, finish it off. This is a really nice pick here for Exostriker. June wanted to keep that alive for as long as possible, but accidentally derped it into a corner here. Effective building positioning from our Protoss player. And now he's going to have free reign to move across the map with these Adepts unchecked. 3 Marines not enough to deal with this. 5 changed the equation up quite a bit. So Exostriker needs to send that Shade up the ramp and go straight into the mineral line. Start picking out those workers. Well, he's going to diminish the Marine count, it looks like. But again, 5 Marines, just a little bit too much. And he's going to have to back out here. Now, our Terran player going into Widowmine, getting out of medevac. So this is going to be a 3 Widowmine drop. He's going to head straight into the mineral lines of the Protoss, and June has been using these to a pretty great effect so far in this tournament. The worker death toll for Protoss in his matchups is usually pretty high, so see if he can pull that off here on Nightshade. There's the liftoff. There's the 3 Widow Mines. And Exostriker sticking to his build, getting out Phoenix once again. Will they be a little bit more effective this game? Right now, the answer is no, considering that they could totally kill this medevac before it reaches the other side of the map. And one of them totally saw the medevac, but they're just going to try and damage the Terran anyway. So here comes the drop, 2 Widow Mines. All 3 actually going to be dropped at the Nat. Only 2 burrowing though. Gets a shot off on the Adept. The other going to pick off 3 workers. That's 5 now. In the meantime, Exostriker doesn't commit. He's going to pull his Phoenix home, and that means he will be able to pick off the medevac. Both mines will escape outside of it. The Phoenix, a little bit lazy on the job, don't get the lift on the Widow Mines, but the Oracle gonna turn on the laser and do what the Phoenix could not. Raven coming out for our Terran player. Stim and +1 started up, so this is going to be a bio push of some kind, probably very similar to what we saw in the previous game. Exostriker counting on his Phoenix Oracle to keep the Marine count low and, you know, make it worth getting a 3rd back on the other side of the map. Exo getting his Robobig down. This is very likely going to be Colossus once again. This is looking like exactly the same build as the previous game, and that's not necessarily a good thing. June is continuing to build his Marine count, continuing to pump out Marauders. Gonna have Widow Mines to anchor this, and Phoenix are not the best response to this composition. Twilight Council finishing for Exostriker. Extended Thermal Lance on the way. There should be... Oh, does he not have his first Colossi on the field? Last game he had 1 Colossi on the field at least. Okay, alright, I guess it's going to be operational in time, but... This is a very dicey situation for the Protoss. It's going to be a tough hold. June stims in. Again, the sentry's melting. Again, the stalker's melting. There was so much energy on that sentry. Disable on the Colossus means it can't fight. GG's called. And June goes up 2-0 in the best of 5. In the top left, once again is our yellow Protoss. It's Exostriker. And in the bottom right, as the blue Terran, it's June. Is this the point where Exostriker, you know, pulls out something crazy? Do we see Cannon Rush? Do we see a Proxy 4-gate? I know he's a more standard Protoss, but hey, you're down 2-0 in the series. You should be switching something up at this point. I don't think June's going to change his build whatsoever. I think we're going to see the same Cyclones, the same Vikings, and the same Marine push. Yeah. A little bit of worker harass. It's not going to do too much damage. June will get his CC down relatively on time. June seems like, I don't know, you can, as a caster, you can kind of like sense like a player's energy just through like how they're moving their units, you know, how they're responding to their opponents' pokes and prods, and June just seems like lackadaisical. He just seems absolutely at peace with the world as I'm watching him play here. Exostriker feels like he's just a little bit lost with what, like, how to approach the Terran. This time he's going for a robotics facility in lieu of a Stargate. I really like this here from Exostriker. Hopefully this is a build that he's as confident with, at least, if not more so, than his Stargate play. Only time will tell. Oh no, June picking off a probe, and he's gonna save the Reaper. Vision. Well, is he gonna save the Reaper? Yeah, it looks like he is. He juked him. Met a short and violent death. Now, June did, of course, see the robotics bay. That clicking up the, I would have to rewind, but that clicking up the cliff was very likely. He saw the building warping in, and he wanted to hop back up to make sure this was a robotics bay, so... Or it could have been a mistake, but I'm hedging my bets at this level of play. It wasn't a mistake. And this time it's going to be disruptors from Exostriker. So he knows that June's going to be doing Marine push. He knows about the Vikings. He knows about all of this. So what's he going to do? Disruptor. This time, though, June's going to have a tank on the field. It's not going to be that Widow Mine Anchor. It's not going to be Cyclones. It's going to be a much more solid siege of the Protoss third when it eventually happens. Oh, Exostriker is going to drop the Disruptor, try and get some SCV picks, but this could be disastrous. There's a really nice spread here for the Terran, and damage is going to start being output on this Warp Prism immediately. It is repelled. Viking going to maintain a defensive posture, not chase down the Warp Prism. Exo going to shift click around and maybe try to attack the main mineral line here. In fact, that's exactly what he's rallied to do. Oh, that feels bad. The RNG, I guess it's not RNG, but you know, the Viking control path intercepts Warp Prism once again. Exo with 0 damage done to the Terran. Twilight Council finishing, a Forge, Extended Thermal Lance on the way. Our Terran player going for Stim, Combat Shields, and +1 once again. We're going to see a push here around 7.5 minutes, but Exostriker looks like he has a lot more to deal with this. However, there's still no frontal shield here, and we've seen like almost no force deals this series from Exostriker, despite having, you know, 2 or 3 sentries in the previous game, just not really utilizing that energy to its fullest extent. And this is it. The entire match is on the line here in game number 3. Exostriker really has to turn this around if he wants to win the series. Okay, here's that 7:30 push right on the dot from June. Now Exostriker sees that the third went down. Hallucinated Phoenix is going to go down to a Widow Mine. Feels bad, but the Observer does scout this Terran move out. So June maybe going to split these 2 medevacs to hit in another location. Looks like they're not. Exo does have a Disruptor in the mix. It can turn this into a little bit of a coin flip, but it's going to be all about how that shot goes off and how he utilizes his force field to manipulate the Terran army. Because June is up in upgrades for now. It's going to change in about 10 seconds. Okay, so both players going to be even on upgrades for the engagement. But Terran with the army supply advantage. Exo is not going to hold this fourth. I think this is a really bad idea to push into the Terran here. Okay, maybe not. Maybe not. Okay, there's caster fail number 1 of the day. June is going to back off. He did split his forces, so 2 medevacs worth over here, and another strike force over here to the right. June just camping the bridge. Blink is seconds away from finishing for the Protoss, so this tank could be in a little bit of danger, but it's not on the field yet. There's still 6 seconds till Blink. So what could have been a rundown of the Terran forces is just kind of a shove away from the base of Exo, and he's going to be facing a Terran in his Nat. He's really slow to respond. That was about a 6-second response time for him to pull his army back to defend. I'd like to see a recall even at this point. The Terran going to stim up that ramp and use it to hold the Protoss back if he wants to. No, he's going to load up into the medevacs and get the heck out of dodge. And hey, why not? He's done 21 probes worth of damage to the Toss, evening up the worker count here, which of course favors the Terran. The Terran's on 3 base, so that's about 9 extra workers when you translate the mules. So he's going to be actually closer to like a 78 worker economy. And Exostriker feels like he needs to push out here. It feels like he needs to get damage done. I don't know that that's necessarily the case given his army supply condition, but he's going to try Disruptor Shot. Just gets like a couple Marauders and a Marine. And again, there's no meat shield here for these squishy stalkers, for bosses, and for the Disruptor. Viking's going to land on the ground, and that is pretty much going to seal the fate here of the Exostriker. Exo's going to give it his best. He's going to play this out, but there is basically no coming back from this for the Protoss. There's no Disruptors left on the field. Templar do have Storm Research, but there's not enough energy. They're going to have to morph into Archons. There's the GG, and June takes the series 3-0.